Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to this holiday masterclass, de-stressing, moving from holidays to holy days. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for asking about the fires in LA. For those of you who are not in LA, they are really having challenge containing these fires. So thank you all for your good thoughts. Where I am is actually pretty close to the fires. Lots of smoke in the air and smoke in the home, but we're safe and sound. All is good. So thank you all for asking. And we just send good thoughts to all those that are being impacted by the fires, and good thoughts to all of those who are assisting, and those who are having to evacuate, and animals. So it's a very heartfelt time of the year to think of people having to evacuate. So thank you all for asking. So wonderful to be here with all of you. Wonderful to have you all. We have over 1,000 people for the webinar from all over. I see some of you from United Kingdom all the way to Australia. We have France, we have Brazil, all throughout the United States. So it's really wonderful to know that no matter where we are on the globe, there's a growing population of like-minded individuals who are truly interested in connecting to this season of light. It is the season of light, and we can get so lost into the consumerism of the season. I love this time of year. It's actually one of my favorite times of year, which I'll be speaking about when we get started officially. But to think about this time of year as the time of light, the season of light, and to join together with individuals all around the globe, knowing that we have the same heartfelt intention to connect to the light within us and connect to the light in each other. So I'm very grateful to have all of you. Welcome, welcome. Might want to have a cup of tea, a journal. We're going to dive deep and ensure that this holiday season is a time that is stress-free, anxiety-free, and full of connection, full of peace, full of wonder. So welcome. For those of you who are just getting to know me, my name is Susie Lula. I am a spiritual counselor. I've written a book called The Motherhood Evolution, and I'm very interested in redefining self-care to prove out to everyone that when we care for our spirit, our heart, our life, first and foremost, that it enriches not only our own life, but everyone around us. So welcome. This class is from holiday to holy day. We're going to really transform, the word holiday comes from the word holy, and holy means to make whole. So I think if there's one thing that you take away from today's class, it is to find your sense of wholeness, to find your sense of worthiness during this season. And I will show you over the course of the class that I believe that this is the most liberating, the most freeing quality that you can embody, the quality of your own wholeness, the quality of your own worthiness, the quality of your own divinity. Because when you are connected to your own sense of worth, it frees you from needing to be under the constraints of this consumerism. And it allows you to have a both and experience, which I'll be talking about. So welcome. Take a nice deep breath in, everyone. Glad to have you. Just settle in. I thought to do this class in my living room in front of my tree. And when we were decorating the tree, my family realized it's so fascinating. In our family, we have the Christmas tree, we have our Hanukkah menorah, and both are next to our Buddha. So we feel like we have a lot of the globe represented right here in a very small area. And I think that defines why I love this time of year so much, because I think that no matter where we live on the globe, no matter what culture and what wisdom teaching we have been brought up under, there's a core here that we are all seeking to live out our life connected to the light inside of us. And we're born with this light. And so if there is ever a time of year, if there is ever a season to connect with the light inside of you, your own innocence, your own worthiness, your own light, this is the time. And so today, this is what I'm going to be sharing are some practices that can assist you to take this idea from an intellectual, mental idea to embody it and live from this place so that it enriches not only your holiday season, but everyone that you come in contact with. So I love this time of year. I love nothing more than sitting here in the evenings, just looking at this tree, listening to music, lighting candles. I need nothing at this time of year, like nothing. I sit in this room with my tea, with candles lit, with music playing. I have my son come do his homework out here, and I'm, completely blissed out. So I want to show you all, it takes zero money. It takes really nothing. We were loving our tree before we even put the lights on it, just to have this beautiful tree in our home, this piece of nature in our home, was enriching and fulfilling. So I want to show you also that you don't even need to be part of the consumer, rat race. It's not to say that you won't purchase gifts, but I want you to see that connecting with this light and really having an enriching season has nothing to do with money. So first, let's dive in. I want to hear from all of you. I want to hear what brings you the most stress over the holidays. So right here in the chat box, just begin to write what brings you the most stress over the holidays. And if you are watching this class later, you just write in your journal. What brings you the most stress, the most anxiety? What are you looking forward to the least over this holiday season? And just begin to write it in the chat box. Don't be shy, because we're going to take this and we're going to transform it. But we can't transform what we don't uncover. We can't transform what we don't make transparent. So it's very important to become aware of, not to become mired in, but to become aware of what it is that causes us stress, anxiety during the holidays. So some of you are saying having to venture out in the chaos and consumerism. Being a sensitive individual, I can so relate to that, having to even venture out. Cleaning and decorating can so relate to this. All of the events and activities, excellent. Buying gifts, feeling that I have so much to do to arrive at the date, excellent. College kids coming home and continuing their college lifestyle. I'm almost there. I have a teenager, so I can somewhat relate. Kids being home and keeping them busy without electronics. We're going to talk about that. Will the folks like the gifts? Exactly. Buying gifts and entertaining. Expectations, traditions of mother-in-law. So other family members bringing in their traditions. Exactly. Too many events to attend. Exactly. Too much to do. Consumerism all around. Too many people. Isn't that true? It's like, where has everyone been living? Suddenly you go out on the streets and it's bumper to bumper traffic. Like, where has everybody been, is my experience. Sensory overload. out of routine for my special needs son. I have this belief that all of us are sensitive individuals. And so this time of the year can absolutely wreak havoc with our sensitivity, our nervous system. It's one of the reasons I'm doing this class. Family this year. Gifts and entertaining stress me out. Exactly. Staying with noisy family. Going to my husband's family house. Too many people in the house for too long a time. No privacy and not your own intimate family. My mom. All right, exactly. So can all of you relate to each other? I know I can. I can relate to every single one of these that you shared. And I think so many of us, although we get caught up in this consumerism, in the frenzied busyness of the season, what I know from working with my clients all day and my friends is that none of us are really interested so much in participating in that anyway. So this is why I'm so grateful that each one and so many of us have come together here. Think of it, 1,000 individuals all around the globe. And then if we can impact just a few people around us, if you want to share this video, after, please share it, because if it gives just a few of us more courage and know that we're not alone to create a holiday season that is more like a holy day season, a season of wholeness, a season of completion, enoughness within ourselves, worthiness within ourselves. So now I want you to write on the chat box, think of what you just wrote about what stresses you out the most. And now let me know, what are you seeking the most? What is it that you are truly seeking during this holiday season? So again, we can't begin to transform what we don't make transparent. So we're going from now, what stresses us out, what brings anxiety and stress into our lives, and we are unearthing, we're bringing into consciousness that which we most seek. So we're most seeking togetherness. Exactly. We are most seeking connection, togetherness, joy, connection, relaxation, to sleep and relax, peaceful, loving time with family, time with my kids and husband, playing and relaxing, and also doing something to help those less fortunate. Exactly. I'm going to breathe on this one. Stillness, time to spend with those I love being with, including myself. Meaningful conversations, fun time with family, traditions and memories, connection, peace, building traditions, peace, and attending to my soul. I love that one because it speaks so clearly and directly to my theme of connecting with our worth inside, our soul inside. When you think of the Christmas carol, O Holy Night, and there's the line, it's my favorite lyric of probably any lyric, and the soul felt its worth. So just take a moment, maybe even place your hand on your heart. Imagine and envision the embodiment of your soul knowing its worth. Your soul knowing its worth. Imagine going through your holiday season deeply and profoundly connected to your own sense of worthiness. Imagine that. That's the place we want to start from. So we're going to move into this. Stephanie is saying to seek and stay centered in herself. Exactly what I'm speaking of. Imagine moving through this holiday season. So imagine You have all the things you already just listed. You're going to be with family members that aren't your nuclear family, perhaps. You're going to be out shopping, perhaps. You're going to be wherever, in whatever situations and circumstances you might be in. Imagine moving through those situations deeply connected to your own sense of worthiness and to yourself. That you are so utterly connected with yourself that you bring a different experience when you are with your family. And they might be acting exactly the same way as they always do, but you are bringing a different sense of yourself there because you are committing to dedicating yourself, intending that the most important thing in your holiday season is to be deeply connected with your own sense of self, your own sense of worthiness, your own sense of enoughness, your own sense of intimacy within yourself, connection within yourself, your own sense of your divinity, your own sense of who you truly are, your own sense of your innocence, your authenticity, your essence. So this is what we're going to be talking about over the rest of this class. So just begin to imagine that this is actually happening for you. It's starting right this moment because you've said yes to this class. And because you are now part of a group of 1,000 individuals or more, if you share this video, that are also seeking to stay connected to themselves. So we're going to have a lot more centered people, both within our nuclear family, our extended family, our shopping, our, community, our culture. We're going to bring that sense of worthiness, that sense of self, and we're going to share it with all those around us. So as you all said on this chat box, or if you're watching later and you're writing in your journal, I completely concur. It is my experience as well that what most of us want, almost to the person that I speak with, whether client, friend, family member, we are all seeking this connection that you're speaking of, this intimacy that you're speaking of, this togetherness that you're speaking of, this peace that you're speaking of. We're all seeking the same thing. Just take a moment and breathe into that. Recognize that not only are you not alone, most everyone on the planet is seeking the same thing. We're all seeking the togetherness, the connection. We're all seeking to have a conflict-free, anxiety-free season. So know that first and foremost, you are not alone, because this time of year can bring feelings of loneliness. And I don't mean feelings of loneliness only for those if you happen to not be in a relationship. I'm speaking of feeling of loneliness when you're sitting at a table with 20 family members. I know with the clients I work with, this feeling of loneliness can be very real and disheartening. When you connect to that sense of worthiness inside, once you are connected to something greater and higher than your own life, that sense of loneliness will dissipate. So we are all seeking the same thing: connection, intimacy, togetherness, wholeness, worthiness, enoughness, knowing that who and what we are is enough. Now, I find this so ironic that we are all looking for this sense of worthiness, and yet think about it. This is the time of year of light, as I said. This is the time for those of you who are brought up Christian, that Jesus wasn't even born during the season, actually, but Jesus supposedly, has come to show us what is possible. And what did religion do to this man named Jesus, or all of us individuals that came after us? First of all, they crucified him. And second of all, they taught us that we are of original sin. So even if you were raised Buddhist or Hindu or Jewish, There's no one pretty much on planet Earth that hasn't heard the term original sin. Correct? Now, I find this just astounding and ironic when I think about it. This is the time of light, but most people on the planet have been taught that they are of original sin. They are taught that something is wrong with them. So this is why I so wanted to do this class, because if there's one thing you take away, if you only take away one thing, this is the life-changing thing to take away. You are not of original sin. There is nothing wrong with you. And even if you were not brought up in that culture, it's in the cultural ethers as we grow up to unconsciously believe about ourselves that something is wrong with us, that in some way, shape, or form, we are not enough, we are broken, we are damaged, we are disconnected, we are separate and apart from our innocence, our goodness, and the good of the universe. So hear me, if you take nothing else away from today, if you change nothing else in your life, but you consciously begin to think about the ways that you hold yourself as less than, not enough, something's wrong with you, something's broken, something's damaged, you're not worthy, you're not deserving. Does any of this sound familiar? If you begin to recognize that this has been placed upon you, you have bought into this out of generations of culture and your family of origin who has unintentionally and unconsciously taken it on themselves and then passed it on. And for those of us who are parents, I want you to see how absolutely profoundly essential and important this is. I have a son, he's a teenager. I want my son to stay connected with his own inherent innocence. So I want you to think of your own self right now when you yourself were born. Think of yourself, regardless of how old you are. Most of us are in our 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Regardless of your age, whether you're 15 or 55, you yourself were born into this body, born into this life. Think of yourself. You were born naked, so to speak. You were born unencumbered. You were born without this cultural message telling you that something's wrong with you. Therefore, you were born divine. You were born worthy. And it's only because someone has told you differently and you have bought into it. It is only because culture has told you and you have bought into it. And now think about the ramifications of this. This is why consumerism is so rampant. So think about this. We have a scale. The scale is imbalanced. If you are believing that you are unimportant, not worthy, not enough, born of original sin, disconnected, broken, do you see how low your sense of self is, how low your sense of self-esteem is? The lower your sense of self-esteem is, the higher consumerism is, because you're going to look to the outside to try to balance out and regain this sense of self. A child who is born, a child who is 1 year old, 2 years old, who's never been to a market or a grocery store or a store, doesn't even know consumerism, wouldn't even think they need anything because they're utterly content within themselves. So the more society and culture and religion tells you that you're not enough, the more you're going to consume because your soul is desperately seeking to reconnect with its inherent sense of enoughness. And it's going to do whatever we blindly are taught to do to think that we can get back to the sense of worth. But the problem is, as all of us have said on here, that the more we buy, the more we participate in all these family gatherings and parties and the busyness of the season, it's not bringing us what we want anyway. We're staying in this paradigm. So what I'm saying is that if you get nothing else out of today, seek to recognize your own sense of worthiness. When you connect with your own sense of worthiness, you don't need this consumerism because you are full right here. It's not to say that you're not going to go participate, because I'm not an either or kind of girl. I don't think we should be anti-cultural. I think we should bring our sense of richness into our culture. So you may still do some shopping, but it's going to be very mindful, very conscious. It's not going to be to try to fill something. It's going to be to truly offer something out of your own sense of wholeness, of fulfillment, of worthiness. Is this making sense to you all? So here, this is what I want to give you today. I want to give you back your own sense of worthiness. So let's go back to when you yourself were born. You were born divine. And that, no matter how many people have told you otherwise, no matter how many years you have bought into it otherwise, you are divine, whole, complete, exactly as you are. There is nothing from the outside that can make you more enough, and there is nothing from the outside that can make you less enough. This is within you, just like for any of you who are parents, or for any of you who have ever been around an infant or a young child. Just think of yourself as a young child, or think of someone else that you've seen, or think of your own child born. You would never look at an infant and think, oh, they're broken, they're damaged, they're not enough, they're separate. Oh, they're going to need a lot from the outside to find their worthiness, to find their value. Would you ever think about this when you're looking at an infant? No, to the contrary, it is infants that remind us of our light, that remind us of who we really are, that we have forgotten. So set your intention before you leave this class, whether you feel it to the depth that you're going to feel it by the end of the season, because I'm going to stick with you guys through this season. Whether you embody it fully in this moment is irrelevant. Set the intention to reconnect with your sense of worthiness and divinity, and let nothing else get in the way of that. And now we're going to move into practical ways to make that happen. And I promise you it's free. It doesn't take very much time. It's utterly free. And it's utterly possible. Okay. So I see that you all are with me. Yes, even when we succumb to consumerism, we're still trying to connect. It's brilliant. Exactly correct. Even when we succumb to it. And that's what's so sad, is because we end up even more lonely half the time than we started, because then we're looking to, as someone had said earlier, hope everyone likes the gift we got them, and that will connect us. Or, then we end up feeling like we've overspent and we end up in debt. There's so much that happens when we're looking to the outside, but we are really just seeking to connect. And that's exactly the energetic that we want to sever and disconnect today. So excellent. So Viva is saying intentions are magic starters. So let's all take a moment before we move into the practical, and let's all take a moment and set our own inner intention. There's nothing more powerful. And I like how Viva said intentions are magic starters, because what I think of an intention very similarly. It's like a match, and you're striking the match, and then it turns into a flame, and then it turns into a full-on fire when you stoke it, when you feed it. So right now, let's take a moment. Let's just gently close our eyes for a moment, unless you're driving. And let's just connect with our heart. Remember when you yourself were an infant. You might not have a conscious memory of it, but you know that you were born into this body, into this life. And recognize that whatever you've heard to the contrary is an untruth, is just a lie. Connect with your worthiness. You are worthy, you are divine, you are enough, and set an intention that this connection is the most precious connection you can have over the season, and it is the one that you will nurture and nourish over the season. And the more you nourish and nurture it, and fan it, the greater the flame. And the greater the flame, the greater it will picture itself into every area of your life, every interaction over this season. And then whenever you set your intention, gently open your eyes. Excellent. They ignite the process, Louise is saying. Exactly. Intentions ignite the process. I love these two. That intentions are magic starters and intentions ignite your process. Very good. Okay, so let's talk about some practical ways that you can expand your sense of worthiness, embody your sense of worthiness throughout the season without taking a lot of time, without spending any money. I'm telling you, literally, the best way that I can tell you is to listen to music, to sit in your home for 5 minutes every morning and every evening. I light candles every morning, every evening, and I just sit. I have my journal. I write in my journal practically every morning. Again, doesn't need to take a lot of time. And if you don't have time, perfectly fine. You don't. I'm telling you, it's enough to have this intention in your own heart, and you can be driving down a freeway stuck in traffic. And if you intend to place your hand on your heart and remember your intention 100 times in a day, 20 times in a day, you can bring this with you anywhere you go. You can do it in your car. You can do it while shopping. You can do it while within your family gatherings. You know, this is one of the reasons why I created these malas, so that they are literally touchstones, so that you can literally touch and be reminded. Each one of these is filled with an energetic intention, and I need only touch it, and it reminds me of my intention. So anything like this, putting on a piece of jewelry, wearing a necklace, placing your hand on your heart, no one else needs to know what you're doing. It can be completely private. Maybe you get a special bracelet that you're going to wear, or even a little piece of yarn. A piece of yarn. I usually have a golden piece of yarn, a golden piece of cord tied around my wrist. I don't have it right now, but I usually have that. And it's a way of reminding me that I'm golden, that my nature is golden, that we are all golden. We are all threaded together in this golden light. So this is what I'm saying. It doesn't have to cost you a penny. You can get a piece of gold thread and tie it around your wrist, and get one for your girlfriend, get one for your partner, get one for your kids. See, I'm starting a tradition right here. This is how easy it is. And with your family, you all, tie a piece of gold cord around your wrist one evening in front of your fire. And for the rest of the holidays, you just touch each other. You just remind each other, or you do it yourself and you keep it utterly private and no one else knows what you're doing. And you're sitting at that, table with your extended family, and they're all in family drama, and you're just sitting there touching your gold cord. It's this simple. It's just that we need to find enough of a palette. Like an artist doesn't want to paint with 3 colors. An artist wants to paint with 30 colors and mix their colors and blend their colors. So we just need to create a lot of these different practices. I've already given you like 5. You can do it privately. You can do it with your family. You could do it with coworkers. You can do it with your best friend, right? And think of this message, we're all golden, that you'd be spreading around. As an aside, I have an intention of creating a little delicate bracelet. So if any of you are jewelers, connect with me, Susie at SusieLula.com. I want to talk to you. So more practical, right? We need a lot of practical during this time. So I'm telling you, find 5 minutes. It doesn't matter if you have children and they are running around chaotically. You know, when my son was little and I would meditate, he would jump on my lap, leave, you know, doing whatever he's doing, chasing the dogs around the house. It's the inner stillness. It doesn't have to be, you know, pristinely quiet and serene around you. In fact, the whole point of meditation is to find the stillness within when the world is crazy and busy. So kids running around always brings a smile to my face. And for any of you who have bought my book or want to know about my book, it's called The Motherhood Evolution. And chapter 18 is called Mothers Who Meditate. And it's all about learning how to meditate when you have kids running around. And there's no better time of year to learn to meditate and to enhance your meditation practice. And again, you don't have to meditate for 20, 30, 40 minutes. You can meditate for 5 minutes with one single candle lit and a sincere intention to connect with your worth, and it will build every day. Okay, if you aren't signed up to my mailing list, SusieLula.com, go and sign up, because over the holidays, I'm going to be sending you practical ideas every day, but I wanted to go over maybe about 4 or 5 of them before we run out of time. And then I'll send you the rest over email. So I wanted to just share a few of the ones that we do in our family, and you can take them or leave them, or you can take them and build upon them. You can take them and create some of your own off of them. But again, like the idea of sparking an idea, I just thought if I gave you 3, 4, 5 ideas, it would spark your own creativity and inspiration. And then you can write some here on the chat box as you're thinking of some or want to offer your own. So one of the simplest things that we do, and trust me, I live in Los Angeles, so it doesn't get, you know, really below 70 very often, but you can see our fireplace in the back. My son created this ritual when he was about 5 or 6 years old, that in the wintertime, in the evening, he wanted all the electricity off and just having candlelight in the evening. So trust me when I tell you that that was not easy for me to do, because it meant turning off my computer in the evening. But we've kept that tradition. It's a little later now. We don't turn off the lights at 5, but we turn off the lights early, like 7:38 in the evening, except for, you know, his computer if he's doing homework. But we light a lot of candles in the evening. And again, I'm telling you, if you have 3 children, it doesn't mean they're going to be calm and pristine and zenned out, blissed out, oming throughout the evening, although that would be nice. They can be running around. But if you dim your lights and you start lighting candles, and then what we do is that we build lots of fires and we eat dinner on a picnic blanket on the floor in the winter. So we just sit in our living room. We put a picnic blanket down. We sit in front of the fire, even though it's 70 degrees in Los Angeles. That's how we eat dinner. We make hot apple cider. We make hot chocolate. You know, we just, no money. It costs no money. It's us sitting on a blanket in front of a fire, you know? So it really, and again, don't think that you have to, you know, it doesn't have to be extreme. You can do it once over the holidays, 3 times over the holiday. I love Viva. She's saying a must read for all moms. Holiday shopping, get Susie's book. Go to Amazon. You don't even have to go out in traffic. Thank you, Viva. I love you. So, so we, you know, like I said, I just sit at night and look at my tree. I'm happy as a clam. We have picnics in front of our fireplace. Now, this speaks to what Yukti had shared earlier. She was talking about giving to those less fortunate. This was a tradition one year. I can't even remember how it started, but we were talking one night, probably in front of our fire. And our son, I've shared this with some of you, our son, he was probably around 9 at the time, maybe 10. He had this idea to buy stuffed animals small little stuffed animals, placed them in a gift bag. He wrote a little, I think this will probably be backwards, but he wrote a little note that said, "In case you need a friend," signed anonymous. And we bought, I think it was 50 the first year. We usually do 30 now. We went to the dollar store, bought the most adorable stuffed animals, put them in gift bags, put this little "in case you need a friend," tied it, and then drove around to poorer neighborhoods. And he would, we'd stop the car and he'd run up to the door, knock on the door, run in the car, and we'd leave. And then the people would find, you know, these little stuffed animals. It was just something, we've kept it as a tradition because our son thought of it. And it's a way that he got to give and be part of the giving. So this is deep because it can teach your children to be givers rather than consumers. And the more connected you are to your sense of worth, and the more connected your children are to their sense of worth, then they're automatically going to want to be givers, because that's our natural state. We all want to give. We're coded and encoded to be givers. It's just that we're usually so exhausted that we've lost touch with what true giving is. But when you're in touch with your sense of worth and enoughness and you're fulfilled, you want to give. So he had this idea to give because we're helping him stay connected to his sense of worth. So he doesn't need to be a consumer to go try to get his sense of worth. He's got his sense of worth and he wants to give from his sense of worth. So this was just a little simple idea. I thought you would love that, Yukti. Love the stuffed animals tradition. It is so, so special. And it's simple. And you could do it, you could do 5. And you know, we've done it different every year. Like one year when he was, I think he was only 8. He was pretty young, because I remember being in the car the first year and kind of being nervous about him running up to somebody's house and back. I think I ran up with him the first couple of years. But one of the years he did it, gave them to some of his friends. So I know he was young enough that his friends were all still having stuffed animals. And we went to his friend's house and left them at their door. And their friends would be talking about them over the break, you know, and he knew in his heart that he had given those animals. And he didn't tell those friends until, you know, years and years and years later. It was really neat for him to be an anonymous giver. So if you can find a way for your child to be an anonymous giver, or better yet, listen instead of you imposing it. Listen for when they have some little idea and take that idea and run with it. Take that idea and help them elaborate on it. So you're welcome to use this idea and make it as simple as you can. This is the other thing about this class. I don't want you to leave this class thinking you have all these other things on your to-do list. I'm hoping you let go of a lot of your to-do list and impose some of the things or apply some of the things that don't take any money, that don't take very much time. These kind of things, like Vibha was saying, sitting in front of a fire is so connecting. There's just something about it. There's just something about candles. Even if your kids are still at the toddler running around stage, there's just something about it that brings a sense of peace and a reminder. I'm big on visual reminders. So if I look and I see the candle burning, or every time I walk through this room and I see the tree, it's just a physical touchstone reminder. You know, you have a mala. It's a physical touchstone reminder if you use it well. And it doesn't cost any money and it doesn't take any extra time. And that's the other thing I want to talk to you about today. Pick and choose consciously what activities you will participate in and what activities you won't participate in. Don't feel obligated. You know, begin to speak up for what are your values. When you value connection and you value togetherness, as I know every one of you do because you wrote it in the chat box, and those of you who are watching later, I guarantee you, I know you wrote it in your journal. So when you value the connection, the deep, meaningful conversations, the togetherness, you can really just get still and think about how you want to handle some of your relationships. You could say to your girlfriend, maybe your girlfriend gives this big party every year and it's just not your thing. Maybe you can have a conversation with her and say, I love, the idea of your party, but what I'd really love this year is to go have tea with you. And then it's one less party and one more real connection. Or maybe you love the parties because it brings you joy. And so you go to those parties, but you tell maybe one of your family members, I love, the opportunity to connect, but I'm going to have to find a different way this year. Maybe you're the kind of person, I remember I used to send out Christmas cards with a photograph, and it was such a hassle in November trying to get my kid in front of the tree to take the picture to get them all, sent out. And I stopped doing that. And it was just like, I just had all that extra time to myself. So like Viva said, if you don't like going out into the shopping malls, then you can find ways to shop online, like buy some malas or my book. But seriously, take off of your list the things that consume a lot of your physical time and energy and your emotional and mental energy. The energy and the emotional investment that I have given and now realize, no, I'm going to keep that for myself, then gets to fuel these other ideas like, my son wanting to go around. That took a lot of time to do that, those couple of evenings, but I had the time because I let go of the things that that didn't bring me joy, that weren't, aligned within me. So part of, you're asking your hubby for that necklace, go to SusieLula.com. They're so beautiful. I have to just take a moment to say an aside. These are open, so you can wrap them. You can wrap them a couple of times. There's so many different things you can do with this particular one because it's open. But I have another mala that's beautiful and these bracelets. So ask your hubby. Give one to your girlfriend. But take the things off of your list that just don't serve you anymore. And it doesn't have to be an either or, and you don't have to shut down and disconnect from people. It's an opportunity, first and foremost, to give yourself permission, which most women don't do. Give yourself permission to do the holidays in the way you want to do the holidays. Yes, there may be certain family things that you choose to go to for your children's sake, or you go to an office party, because you're a coworker and an employee there. But, if for the most part, if for 80, 85, 90% of the holidays, you're doing, I'm sitting in front of my tree, I'm having picnic dinners with my son, I'm doing this, then I can go to the occasional party here and there, family gathering, and it actually feels good because I've nourished myself. And many of you were saying rest, replenish yourself during this time. So women need to give ourselves permission to say no, permission to know that we can have a both and. We can still create meaningful conversations and connections with our friends and family and still say no, that we're going to choose something different this year. So I want you to hold this as both things possible. Speak up, but have an authentic, vulnerable conversation. It might bring you closer. You might find that your family members want to do something different also. Your girlfriends want to do something different also. It's a great way to spark creativity and inspiration. So, Stephanie is saying, yes, I need to write myself permission slips. I love that, to celebrate this Christmas differently. I'm envisioning, you guys, everybody writing some permission slips for themselves, or write it in your journal every morning. I give myself permission to create today the way that I want to create today, or the season in the way I want to create the season. So we have about 3 minutes left. And I'd like to take you all through a guided meditation so that you leave in a connected place of stillness inside of you. And I wanted to share one more quick thing with you before we do the guided meditation. I want to see if I'm going to be able to actually pull this off. I am just entering at the top. You'll see a class that I'm going to be offering in January, because what I found, and we've been speaking of, this time of year, people really want connection, togetherness, intimacy. And this is actually what we are always seeking. What our children are seeking from us is that intimate connection. So I'm going to be teaching a class in January to really give us practices to connect to our divinity, to connect to our sense of worth, so that we can assist our children to stay connected to their sense of worth. I'm going to be teaching skills and practices so that you can bring more intimacy into your own world and into your world with your spouse, your partner, your husband, your coworkers, your children, your friendships, to bring deeper connection, to bring deeper intimacy. And then I'm going to show you how that sense of worthiness not only enriches all of your relationships, but it will bring you more wealth. It will bring you more prosperity. It will bring you more abundance. You will find your income rising. It's amazing what connecting with your worth and value and divinity can bring. So there's the link. Please click on it. Check out more about the class. It's a 4-week class, and I have everything on the link, so you'll see what's going to be covered in each week. And I would love to go through that process and have you all. Once we do this guided meditation, if you all want to share this link for this class with anyone that you think would appreciate some stillness, some real rich connection and meaning for their holiday season, I would love it if you share it. And now let's just all join together. We'll take about a minute here and just close together by closing our eyes. First and foremost, acknowledge and appreciate yourself for investing your time in this way. You have just fed your spirit. You have just fed your sense of worth. You have just fed the sense of you that seeks to belong to a group and a community, the sense to know that you're not alone. You have just fed, nourished, nurtured your sense of divinity, enoughness. So appreciate yourself for that. Acknowledge yourself for that. And as you move back into your day or evening, set the intention to carry this with you, reminding yourself it takes really zero extra money. It really doesn't take very much time. It takes a sincere intention and desire to connect with and live from the quality of divinity, worth, value, and enoughness. And that light is what this season is all about. So may this season fill you and fulfill you from the inside out and from the outside in with all of the light you can possibly embody. And whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes. So as we were doing the closed eye guided meditation, and I felt this intensity of light coming from my own heart and wishing it for each and every one of you, I was reminded, I don't think that you can really see it here, but if you look at the top of our tree, you'll see a star. If you got up close to that star, you would see that it's actually a cardboard star that has gold glitter that our son made when he was about, 6 or 7. And we keep it and put it at the top of our tree every year because he made it. It's a reminder of the simplicity of this season. And lastly, when I had my eyes closed in the guided meditation, it just reminded me of the intensity and the infinite nature of light that is within each one of us, that's just pressing and seeking to emerge. So shine your light this season, light it from the inside out, and then shine it everywhere you go. Sign up for my email list. I'm going to be sending out lots of, it's like I said, my favorite time of year. I create lots of little retreats for myself. So I'm going to be sending you all lots of little practical ideas. And then, oh, Abby's saying that she was just looking at the star. How I love that synchronicity. Thank you for sharing that. Literally, if you could see it up close, it's a glittered star, but it's really represents the simplicity and the depth and the meaning that can come from this season and slowing down. So thank you all for being with me. Please share this video if there's anyone in your life that you think would benefit from it. Please click on the link for the intimacy class. I'd love to spend an intimate time and set your year off knowing that you're going to be deeply connected to your own light and be a beacon of light and shine your light for those around you. And have a beautiful, beautiful holiday season. All right. Much love, everyone. Bye. Oh, I'm so grateful. Louise is saying totally pumped her up for the season. So, so grateful and happy. Thank you, Kathy. Beautiful. Ah, my love, Viva, Abby, Kathy, Jennifer. Wonderful. Yeah, the thoughts of simplicity in his star. Exactly. Thank you, Yakti. Thank you, Chi, for this. My pleasure for doing this. Thank you. Thanks for coming from the UK to join us. Share it around the UK. Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm going to put the link one more time for you guys. Thank you, Maureen, Elena, Katie, Barbara. Namaste. Wonderful, wonderful. I will, Maureen. I will say hi to Jamie. Thank you, Silvana. Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone, have a beautiful rest of your day and or evening in the season, and stay connected also on Facebook, and go check out the class.